Did you choose Jesus Christ as your king, your master, your savior, or are you at this stage a legal, complaining citizen of the world of Satan? Well, and of his many kingdoms. Let's read 1 Samuel, very pertinent on this subject, because this literally lays down what happens to man when he rejects God and his son as king, and then turns and puts his allegiance or his loyalty and faith and fidelity in the world of Satan and his kingdoms and those that he has sitting as the rulers. 1 Samuel 8 reads, "And it came about when Samuel was old, and he appointed his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abijah, and they were judging in Beersheba. His sons, however, did not walk in his ways, but turned aside after dishonest gain, and took bribes and perverted justice. Then all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. And they said to him, Behold, you have grown old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint a king for us to judge us like all the nations. But the thing was displeasing in the sight of Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed to the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, Listen to the voice of the people in regard to all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them. Like all the deeds which they have done since the day that I brought them up from Egypt, even to this day, in that they have forsaken me and served other gods, so they are doing to you also. Now then, listen to their voice, however. You shall solemnly warn them and tell them of the procedure of the king who will reign over them. So Samuel spoke all the words of the Lord to the people who had asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the procedure of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and place them for himself in his chariots and among his horsemen, and they will run before his chariots. And he will appoint for himself commanders of thousands and of fifties, and some to do his plowing, and to reap his harvest, and to make his weapons of war, and equipment for his chariots. He will also take your daughters for perfumers and cooks and bakers. And he will take the best of your fields and your vineyards and your olive groves, and give them to his servants. And he will take a tenth of your seed and of your vineyards, and give them to his officers and to his servants. He will also take your male servants and your female servants, and your best young men and your donkeys, and use them for his work. He will take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his servants. Then you will cry out in that day because of your king, whom you have chosen for yourselves, but the Lord will not answer you in that day." Interestingly, we gather from this the pitiful condition that man walks into when he actually rejects God, rejects his son, who has purchased all from sin and death and into a beautiful hope of a coming kingdom, and has the people that have rejected this are now complaining about these world leaders who are doing in this very terrible time what appears to be evil things to them, but they can only see that this is what comes with choosing these and rejecting God.